Good morning, my dear children. Welcome to today's virtual session of 9th Standard Political Science. I hope you are all fit and fine at home. Let us begin today's session with a very beautiful quote: Rivers never go reverse. So try to live like a river. Forget your past and focus on your future. Always be positive. Children, we can learn a very valuable lesson of life from the rivers. Life can be compared to a flowing river that never takes a reverse turn and always moves in the forward direction. So we should never look back on the past and just be focused on the future. Children, today I would like to take a new topic in your political science syllabus, that is India's foreign policy. The last topic that I covered in 9th standard political science, that was post World War political development. In that particular topic, you came to know about interdependence, international relation through foreign policy, the background of First World War. I discussed in detail about the First World War. Also, you came to know the Second World War, then the effects of the Cold War. Cold War, the concept of Cold War is used to describe the condition where there is no actual war, but there was such tension in the circumstances that they may be responsible to cause war. You came to know about the effects of Cold War, and then also I discussed about arms race, non-alignment, then the evaluation of non-aligned movement, and lastly I discussed about the post-Cold War world. Means the Cold War came to an end with the disintegration of Soviet Union, which till then had been a superpower. As a result, major changes took place in world politics that I discussed in detail. Mainly, we studied the global developments from 1945 onwards in the last topic. We understood the world in the Cold War period, the arms race, and the efforts at disarmament. We also learned about the meaning of globalization. So, children, today I would like to introduce the topic India's foreign policy. We have got introduced to the international system and its nature and the Cold War in the last century and its effects. We shall now get introduced to other related issues. Thus, we shall learn about the meaning of foreign policy, factors that make an impact on it, and the nature of India's foreign policy. So, children, mainly in this topic, I would like to discuss about the meaning of foreign policy, the factors that make an impact on it and the nature of India's foreign policy. All countries are members of the international system. We have already studied that none of these countries is completely self reliant, and hence there is mutual interdependence in the international system. Only this interdependence should not be of benefit to a few countries. Efforts need to be made to ensure that it benefits every nation. Each country has to decide the nations with which it should be friendly, in which bloc it should participate, or what position it should take in international relations. Such decisions should be made thoughtfully. The theoretical framework in which such decisions are taken is called foreign policy. Every sovereign and independent country decides its own foreign policy. Hence, in the discipline of international politics, which studies the international relations between nations, foreign policy has an important place. So, children, all countries are members of the international system, and no country is completely self sufficient. There is mutual dependence in the international system. In this context, every country has to decide the nations with which it should be friendly, in which bloc it should participate, or what position it should take in international relations. The theoretical framework in which such decisions are taken is called foreign policy. Every sovereign and independent nation decides its foreign policy. Foreign policy plays an important role in international relations. So, children, you have come to know that the theoretical framework in which such decision means that every country has to decide the nation with which it should be friendly, in which bloc it should participate, or what position it should take the international relation, means in which such decisions are taken is called foreign policy. And every sovereign and independent nation decides its foreign policy. Now, I am going to discuss about the national interest. National interest, we have briefly understood what foreign policy means. National interest and foreign policy are closely connected to each other. National interest is fostered through foreign policy. Therefore, before studying foreign policy further, we need to understand the meaning and significance of national interest. National interest implies the means through which the independence and sovereignty of our country can be safeguarded. National interest also includes efforts to achieve our economic development and to take steps towards increasing our national power. When decisions are taken after giving a careful thought to what is beneficial and good for our country, we say that we are nurturing our national interest. In this sense, the following factors are included in the national interest of any country. Defense, that is the protection of our country's independence, sovereignty, and integrity is the highest national interest. Economic development is also an important national interest. An economically weak nation will not be able to maintain its independence. Hence, economic development is understood to be an important national interest next only to defense. So, children, national interest implies the means by which the independence and sovereignty of country are safeguarded. National interest also includes efforts to achieve economic development and steps to increase power and influence in world politics. The components of national interest are: one is defense and another is economic development. The protection of our country's independence, sovereignty, and integrity is the highest national interest. It means defense. And economic development is regarded as vital to protect national interest. An economically weak nation will not be able to maintain its independence. So, children, here you have come to know that national interest and foreign policy are closely connected to each other. Foreign policy is drawn up to foster the national interest of defense and economic development. National interest is considered to be the goal and foreign policy is considered to be the means of achieve it. Goals of nations change with the changes in conditions and time. Accordingly, national interest also changes. These changes are reflected in the foreign policy. Therefore, foreign policy is always dynamic. So, children, national interest and foreign policy are closely connected. National interest is fostered through foreign policy. National interest is considered to be the goal and foreign policy is considered to be the means to achieve it. Goals of nation change with changing times. Accordingly, the foreign policy changes to suit the national interest. So, children, still now I have discussed about what is foreign policy, what is national interest, and what is the relation between national interest and foreign policy.